My wife cheated on me and now has so many demands and it feels so unfair. I, 30M, and my wife, 30F, got married recently. We were together for 6 years before marriage and engaged for 3, delayed the wedding twice because of COVID. Her mental health has always been a struggle. Depression, ADHD, anxiety. But during the relationship, it feels like it's slowly been getting worse. And COVID was really bad. She really struggled with not seeing people during the height of the pandemic and anxiety from a family health scare. During this time, she lost her job but got a new one quickly. After that was remote, but therefore more irregular with hours. I have always tried my best to be supportive, and she said in the past that she felt I was the only person she's ever met who made her feel she could become who she wants to be. But I suppose that stopped being true at some point. A few months after our wedding, she got COVID and also had long COVID symptoms for a while. It was very difficult mentally and physically. I think she was mostly recovered after several months when she got COVID again and long COVID symptoms again. We knew better how to manage it, so it improved slightly faster, but stress-wise, it all became too much. After she got COVID the second time, we started being much more careful with our masking. We only ate indoors for important occasions and wore masks in bars. We sat outside in the winter at any place that still had outdoor seating. But after her second COVID recovery, she spiraled into a depression worse than I had seen before. She decided to take a leave from work. During the depressive episode in leave, I fed her, did all the household chores, and worked full-time. During her leave, she started improving. She attempted to do many things like take classes, but the only thing that she really did consistently was yoga. Her sleep schedule was really inconsistent from the depression, so she would often struggle to go to sleep, resulting in being up late and then napping and continuing to cycle with late sleep times. This meant that she would take later yoga classes, after dinner, and then have energy. She would say she's going to go to a bar with friends from the class, or that she was going to draw at some bar after, or that she needed to think about therapy, etc. Usually, she would say her intention was to be at the bar for an hour or two and then come home, but she would inevitably say, "Just another 2 hours while I think about things," and do that again, until bars closed. Then she'd come home, sometimes drunk. During recovery from a depressive episode and long COVID, I thought this was an unhealthy coping mechanism, and it made her sleep even worse. It meant she'd sleep through the day and not get vitamin D. And sleep quality is so crucial for mental health as well. I would say my thoughts on this, but she's always been defensive about feedback from me. I've journaled about this many times and talked to her about it, including asking her to talk to her therapist about it. But during our couples therapy sessions, we never really got to issue I had with her communication. We only talked about methods I should use to ensure I don't trigger her from past trauma and how we can both de-escalate. Very valuable things, of course. But this time I suppose was too much. During her times out, guys would talk to her. Eventually one wore her down and she made out with him. She gave him her alternate email and they'd meet up to make out, eventually having sex. She also met 2 other people who she told she wanted something purely physical with, but she says she never had physical sex with them. She would send dirty texts to them and masturbate to their texts. I discovered this when I picked up her phone to charge it when she was napping. We have each other on Face ID and thumbprint, and when you start charging, the screen lights up and shows past notifications. I saw a weird text, so I opened her phone and looked at it. I didn't think it was suspicious when I clicked on it, and had literally 0 suspicions until I realized what I was actually reading. I looked at it purely with curiosity because we were so open otherwise, I thought. I was distraught, but I also saw that this guy sent emails to her alternate email that she doesn't keep open by default. I sent myself the email so she couldn't deny anything later. She woke up from her nap and we talked and cried. I was so broken and numb. But her remorse seemed so complete, and she said that she was dying to be wanted and feel young and alive. She said she never wanted to be with anyone else. She said she's messed up, mentally, and she's so sorry she's destroyed our marriage too. I wanted to work on this, her mental health, and us, and I told her I wanted to be with her. The next day was hard, but we seemed to get through it somehow. Then she had a therapist appointment. We talked about it afterward. Her therapist seemed to tell her she's never done this before, so it isn't who she is. She was feeling trapped and wanted attention. The leave from work and freedom is working for her mental health, which is true. It was a violation of privacy the way I discovered it. And during this conversation, all these things she said very defensively and with an attitude of blaming me for her actions. I was not happy about the perceived lack of guilt. Over the next few days, she seemed to take responsibility, and I had hope for our growth from this. But then she wanted to think about what to do about her job after an afternoon yoga class. This was 5 days after I found out. After, she delayed when she'd come home again. And again. I told her to take her time until she told me she'd be home by 2. I said she can't do the exact thing she did when she cheated this soon after cheating. How can she expect me to trust her? She had location sharing on her phone, and I went to the bar she was at. I told her this again in person. She said she was staying until 2, and that's how it was. I left, and she did come home later. I don't think she cheated or anything. After couples therapy the day after, she had another therapist appointment a few hours later. After that, she's basically not been home. She has told me semi-loose plans, having dinner with a certain friend, but not more than that. She says she needs space. She'll come home late and sleep on the couch until I wake up, then go sleep in our bed until it's time to leave the house again. Based on our couples therapy session, I think she's going to demand changes from me, so she doesn't feel trapped. I don't want her to feel trapped. I want her to be healthy and to have healthy coping mechanisms and to want to be with me. She still texts, "I love you," to me, but she hasn't said she loves me in a week. I am so scared she wants to separate more completely, not only for my sake, but hers. She's had suicidal ideation, and I just want her to be okay. I think she has projected her parents' relationship onto me and will see anything I do as controlling or annoying at this point. I think her therapist has heard her talk about me this way as well and is encouraging separation. I don't think her therapist is wrong based on what she's heard, but I think it's possible my wife is being selective about what she tells the therapist. For example, she didn't tell the therapist she was cheating on me for the 2 months it was happening. I would guess that she also wasn't telling the therapist how often she was going out alone drinking. At our next couples therapy session, I think I'm going to be told she's moving out, and if I don't want that, I'll be controlling her again. I don't know how it's come to this. When the couples therapist found out, she told me, "Just because she feels trapped does not mean that you are trapping her." But I am scared that my wife, who definitely has felt I walk over her in conversations, is choosing now to put her foot in the sand. It feels like the most unfair time and decision, but I don't want to lose her and start my whole life over. I also don't want to acquiesce to this and have her think she is right to think I want to control her. That would result in a life of her resenting me in her mind. I know I'm not blameless. We got couples therapy before this happened for a reason. I am argumentative, and she gets triggered by confrontation from past trauma. We have worked on it a lot, and I am doing better, but I'm not perfect. But above all else, I want her to be happy and healthy, and I thought she knew that. So how can she think that I want to control her instead of thinking she's coping unhealthily? I don't know how I came across with this text, but I am kind of numb right now writing it. I can't stress enough that I try in every conversation to understand, even if she feels I am just trying to win or if the conversation gets heightened by my tone or her trauma. It's the number one thing we've talked about, and it hurts so much that she really thinks I want to control her, even though what I am proposing, not demanding, is as mild as being at home by midnight on weekdays and trying to sleep well for her mental health. TL. DR. Wife cheated for 2 months. Felt I was being controlling because suggestions for what to do about COVID and depression is probably going to demand space and to be treated differently. I am torn between not wanting to lose her and feeling like it is totally unfair to focus on how I need to be better rather than her mental health and our communication. Relevant comments. His wife 10. You are in the thick of this, so you can't see it for what it really is. She may have mental health struggles, but it sounds like you have done what you can to help her. You can't force her to help herself. She needs to want that on her own. You may not be tying her down, but she probably feels like your marriage is. I think she came close to death and decided she wants to do what she wants, no matter how self-destructive that is or how much she hurts you. You can't fix this. If she is not on board with healing your marriage, there's no changing that. More you try to control that, the more she will pull away. I don't think her mental health should be more important than yours. You have already prioritized her. To come back from infidelity, the cheating partner has to not just feel shame or guilt. They have to have a deep sense of remorse and be willing to go the extra mile to help their partner and marriage heal. From the way you have described her since the day you found out, she is nowhere near remorseful. She wants to pin this on you and make it your fault. It's not. She doesn't want to feel bad. She doesn't want to put in the work to make it right. This is so cliche, but the tighter you try to hold on to sand, the more you lose. Focus on your own healing and mental health. You're going to make yourself sick trying to chase her, accommodate her, and ultimately you will lose yourself. Consider separation and really letting her go. Update. My wife cheated on me and now has so many demands, and it feels so unfair. I'm going to give an update and then respond to some common feedback I got. After seeing the couples therapist again, the couples therapist and my therapist strongly felt my wife likely has bipolar disorder, 1 or 2 unknown, triggered from long COVID or something. Some family also suspected it. Over the last few weeks, we've had a few cycles in which she comes back to me crying, apologizing, saying she doesn't want anyone but me, all the things I want to hear. We'll talk about what our future may look like, whether we need a change of location or some kind of reset. We make up, including sex. This form of absolution for her seems to calm her, but then she seemed to get antsy again and leave for increasing amounts of time, again with unsafe behaviors. She's admitted to continued cheating in these times as well. I'm worried about it, as she's come back from wherever she's been at like 6 a.m. and sleep for 14, 15, once even 19 hours. It feels very stereotypical bipolar behavior. Talking to my therapist, I've come to realize how unlikely it is that this will end up okay. I love this person, and as much as I want the best for her, it is not guaranteed that I am actually helping. Not because I'm not doing all I can, but because all change for her has to be internal. And statistically, bipolar takes a while to treat, and even if it is treated very successfully, we go back to having a relationship in which she was so insecure about whether she was good enough for me, about her own intelligence, and about confrontation, that it'll be hard to think we'll make it regardless. So, I've basically made the internal decision that I'll be seeking legal separation, basically divorce-separated finances, but she can stay on my health insurance. My therapist has also said that I do exhibit some patterns for control to alleviate anxiety, so some uncertainty will be good to learn to deal with it. So I think it'll be a win-win for my mental state, my wife, and my future. I'm basically going to prepare this all, and when I think my wife is in a stable place, I'll ask for separation. She has already packed her things intending to move out anyway, so I think it can be relatively seamless. I'm going to take some solo trips and ask some friends to plan a different trip with me as well. I've also been reaching out to many old friends and re-establishing my old community, and it's made me sad that I lost touch with so many great people, and so happy that I have been able to get them back in my life. For the feedback, many of you were right that she'd continue to cheat. His wife 10 was really amazing and said what I needed to hear. I can't tell you how appreciative I am of being kind while centering my well-being. There were others as well, and I am glad you took the time. Otherwise, everyone implying I don't have respect for myself or that I don't have self-esteem is simply wrong, and usually not very helpful. Maybe for others, it would be a wake-up call, but I can't tell you how much it didn't feel useful at all. I genuinely have incredible resilience. I lost a parent early in life and made it through childhood poverty and self-esteem, and I am personally incredibly proud of myself, that I can consider what is best for other people even while I struggle. I do not struggle with standing up for myself ever. I wrote that a week after I found out. I also want to caution the typical chorus of calling cheating partners every derogatory word in the book. Many deserve it, of course. But life is usually not so black and white, and while I don't excuse her actions, my wife is not how many of you describe her. People have complexity. She can lie to me and feel remorse. She can feel controlled without my being controlling. She can have trauma and extend that to me, but that doesn't mean I'm responsible for it. Not all lying is gaslighting. She can be empathetic to others and not to me. I'm not apologizing for her actions. She will feel the consequences for them. In general, I found the tone of many comments surprisingly unhelpful. But hey, you get what you pay for. For the future, I think we should remember that many people posting on this sub are having some of the worst times of their life, and extending some grace is not that hard. Thanks for reading. Story 2. My husband has been cheating for the past decade. I honestly am at a loss for words. I just don't understand why this is happening to me. I'm 30F, me and my husband, 30M, have been married for 5 years, together for 11. Literally had a movie-like relationship, just a constant honeymoon phase. Of course it got boring here and there were bumps along the road, but I would have never thought of this. Ever. Yesterday, I was looking up a recipe on Pinterest using my husband's phone when he got a message from a contact called Internet Company. But it was a video, which I thought was weird, so I clicked on it. Within the video, there was a little girl saying Dada, and a woman in the background that got super excited. I couldn't believe it. I scrolled up, tons of texts, all about different things. When he'd be visiting, if he could pick a girl's name, let's call her Kelly, Kelly up today. Daycare for, let's call her Dina. Date nights, all sorts of stuff. I couldn't believe my eyes. I managed to find the woman on Facebook. All it did was really hammer it in that this was really happening. I tried to convince myself that those weren't his kids. Maybe he was just cheating on me with someone with kids. Please let him be cheating on me with someone with kids. This woman had 2 daughters, worked an office job, and posted pictures of her daughters and what she made for dinner every night. I took a breath and messaged her. It was so much worse than I could have ever imagined. These 2 girls were both his, one being 11 months and the other being 4 years old. I already was panicked at the thought of him cheating on me for 4 years, until I asked how long. 10 fucking years. They had been dating for 10 years. He kept up a double life for 10 years. I don't even want to fathom how. Apparently, this woman had no idea. He always claimed he had to live away from her for work. He visited every weekend. Which FYI, I work 16-hour shifts on the weekend and return during the afternoon and go straight to bed. She showed me countless videos and images of them together. I just couldn't believe it. How could he do this to me? Why would he do this to me? We have been trying for a kid for 4 months. I was so excited to go through this experience together, but that's wrong. It wouldn't have been together. I'm so glad I'm not pregnant. I can't imagine living this lie while pregnant. I just can't look past this. I feel like such an idiot. How could I not tell? Why wasn't I concerned about never seeing him on the weekends? Why didn't I wonder why he took such frequent business trips? Why didn't I question why he was getting so many texts from an internet company? Why? 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 Why did he waste my time like this? Why did he hurt me like this? Why the hell did he do this? I don't even know how to confront him. I can't sleep. I can't even be around someone like that. Someone who could do this to me. I'm so heartbroken. I can't ignore it. My life is a lie. My life is ruined. I don't know how to even try to move on. Update 1. This is an update, extra info. I've gotten into contact with a divorce attorney. I'm obviously going to divorce him to all the people saying we should just be sister wives. Pretty small update, but I wanted everyone to also know a bunch of info, because the same questions keep getting asked. So here's the actual update. I haven't confronted him, after dozens of comments advising me not to. Me and the other girl, I'll give her a fake name now I guess, so let's call her Jenny. No, her name is not Jennifer. Have been talking. She has agreed to not confront him only because we are married. I did in fact learn that my husband was supporting this other family of his, and apparently Jenny makes a very low paycheck, so she was and is financially dependent on him. Me and Jenny also got 2 sides of my husband. Me and my husband's life was eerily good? I guess you could say. Never had any huge arguments. In fact, we rarely argued ever. And if we did, it was usually about me wanting him to get a different job, because I was led to believe he was only making $31K a year, which is super low for his occupation. We had an amazing intimate life, all the normal couple bases. But apparently, he wasn't so nice to Jenny. He was far more distant, literally also. Yelled at her all the time, treated her like trash, only for him to bring her amazing gifts and take her out on amazing date nights and tell her how much he loved her the next week. What the hell? But that's not it. He loves his daughters oh so much, even though he's screwing over their mom, and acts like such a good father. That makes me mad, like super mad. I can't even fathom why. He's not 100% trash. Shouldn't I be happy? But I'm not. I'm so mad at him. It's eating away at me that I can't just scream at him about how horrible he is. Now here's a whole bunch of info to answer a bunch of questions. How didn't you notice money missing? Our finances were kept separate. We also got a prenup when we got married. How did he keep up visitation during COVID? Apparently he didn't. Jenny said that he mostly only called and FaceTimed. If she dares brought it up, he'd just hang up on her. Real good guy, I know. Why were you on his phone? Gasp. Could it be, my phone was almost dead, so I used his? Yes, I noticed he had calls from her, but she was saved as internet company, so I paid little mind. Oh, and funny thing is, I'm saved as spam call in his phone, which fun fact was a joke between us because I used to call him 5 times every day during our early 20s. People used to literally call me spammy. I occasionally got mad at him because how would he know if it was spam or not? Pretty fucking mad I didn't get weirded out faster. How didn't you figure out via social media? / how did you find her? 1. I usually only use Facebook to look at stupid memes and talk to friends. 2. I had her phone number, that's how. Why didn't you text her instead of messaging her? Got this one as a private message. But I talked to her on Facebook because I didn't want him to see my number on her phone somehow. I know, paranoid and whatever. Why don't you just convert and be sister wives? Why? Why would I do that? How didn't you notice? / why did you get married so young? IDK, maybe I trusted my partner of 11 years. We got married young because he wanted to and we could. How could he have the energy to keep up a double life? I'm not him. I don't know. Honestly, it's beyond me why he would be with me and her at the same time. It makes more sense for him to have been with her full-time than me. What about family? He told Jenny that he cut his family off years ago. He didn't. And Jenny grew up in foster care and was never adopted. Funny thing is, his family probably won't care that he cheated on me. They'll only care that they were kept away from their grandbabies. Oh, and edit. Jenny gave me permission to tell all these things online as long as I don't give out her actual personal info. Update 2. Hello everyone, I am back. I've moved out of our house. I'm staying with a friend. We're getting divorced. I confronted him with said friend just simply because you never know what can happen, but at least I got some form of closure out of this. First off, he wasn't sorry at all. Didn't even ask me to stay, just huffed and said, okay, if this is what you want. When I asked him why, he just looked up at me. Didn't say a word. I asked him how he could keep this up for so long. What did he say? Because you both went along with it. So of course, I asked further. As many of you guessed, Jenny knew. For some odd reason she was okay with this. I still don't understand why she would lie to me instead of IDK just blocking me or something. I'll admit I was upset, very upset and confused. So I asked again, why would you do this? He told me that he was cheating on me with her since the beginning of our dating, that she was just a fling though, and he didn't expect either relationship to really last, but it did. Woo-hoo. When I asked him why to cheat in the first place, because I was young, could get away with it at that time, so why not? He is freaking disgusts me. I asked why he married me instead of her, because you were the better choice. When I asked him to elaborate, he definitely elaborated. Jenny didn't have a good job, so she was a bad investment. You. Jenny was uglier. Once again, you. Jenny wasn't as good as me, she wasn't as clean as me, she wouldn't be as good of a partner as me, and so on. I asked why he would even have sex with her if he liked me better. Because she was more kinky. For your information, I am not kinky. At all. I'm very vanilla, in fact. I asked about the kids, of course. He clarified that the first kid was an accident. He literally did the air quotes. Jenny poked holes in a condom, which he found out about but never confronted her. Of course, I don't know if I can trust this. He had a second one with her because in his mind he could handle one, so why not two? What type of dumb is that? When I asked about how he treated Jenny, he confirmed that he did in fact only see her on weekends, but claimed to have never treated her poorly. He said he treated her as the mother of his children and respected her as such, but never treated her as a romantic partner. Apparently she's only there to screw, not to love. At the end of it all, he asked if he could talk to me privately. I couldn't find a reason not, so I sent my friend out of the room. He told me that he still loved me and that we could work this out if I really wanted to. That he would abandon Jenny and his daughters, but still pay child support. I said no, to which he let out the most dramatic sigh I'd ever heard in my life, before saying, have it your way then wearing the most smug smile I've ever seen, like he'd won the biggest battle of all time. I was left conflicted. I cried in my friend's car all the way to his house. It's like my, now ex, could just change everything with a flick of a switch. I can feel myself already wanting him back. But I'm not going back. I'm never going back. I've got a lawyer, so does he. The papers are signed, all that's left is court. I can't believe how much my life has changed this year. I went from getting giddy to go home to see my husband smile to dreading it, hating it, wishing to never see it again. I don't know whether Jenny really knew, but I'm guessing she did. I mean, how did she not know for 10 years? But that being said, how didn't I know for 10 years? Whatever. I just wanted to let Reddit know that this is what's happened. This didn't happen recently, but I forgot about the whole Reddit post. I've got other things to worry about if you didn't notice. Haha. I don't know what to trust. I don't even want to reach out to Jenny. I don't even want to know the truth anymore. You know, Matthew, if you managed to see this, honestly, I applaud you. Congrats, you did it. You ruined everything. You got away with it for over a decade, and it's finally over. I wonder if you'll go back to Jenny or just find some other girl to trick, to destroy. All I care is that you leave me out of it. I'm looking forward to moving on and minding someone who actually loves me. Story 3. The man I'm currently in a relationship with is being cheating to his fiancée. I'm currently lying next to a sleeping man in my hotel room, a surgeon I met a few weeks ago, and I just figured out that he's engaged. Getting married in 2 weeks. And didn't tell me. No mention of a fiancé at all. In fact, he told me a few hours ago that he was going to visit family on the East Coast in 2 weeks. No mention of a wedding in Cancun in 13 days. He has been using a fake name with me. I'd suspected this for a while, but I saw his real name on his Tesla screen while we drove to dinner earlier in evening. It's an unusual name, similar to the one he gave me, so it wasn't hard to find him online. I searched his real name while in the bathroom about an hour ago, while he was asleep, and besides finding his LinkedIn and other social media, I found his wedding registry and wedding page. Should I tell his fiancée? I found her on Instagram and LinkedIn. To complicate things, we live about 2 hours away, and I offered to visit him one day this weekend and said I would meet with clients in the area to make it a work trip, to justify the cost of a hotel, etc. He offered to pay for the hotel, and initially I said it wasn't necessary, as I make good money during my business trips, but frankly, I've had some cancellations this weekend and won't make quite enough to cover the 2 days at this relatively nice hotel. He spent over $100 on dinner for us, but I kinda want to take him up on him paying for part of the hotel, just the one night he was here. Is that bad to do if I'm considering telling his fiancée later, after we part ways? I feel sick to my stomach about the whole thing, have been up all night, unable to sleep. My plan is, pretend like nothing is wrong until we check out together. He made it clear he wants to check out of the hotel with me, most likely so he can pay. Text him after we've left and tell him what I know. Message his fiancée on Instagram from a throwaway account. Send screenshots of his field profile. And of course, never see him again. Does this make sense? I don't want to confront him in person because I don't know what he's capable of. Edit. This is getting even weirder. I looked up his Instagram, and his fiancée is following him, but he's not following her. And her default pic is of her at her bachelorette party, posing with the words, bride-to-be. Update. I told him I needed to go home early, and he asked if he could take a shower before we left, and I said that was fine. I tried to be cordial, but I'm sure my icy eyes gave me away. He seemed to get progressively more uncomfortable the longer we interacted. We walked down to the lobby together, and then after offering to pay for my valet expenses, to which I said he didn't need to worry about that, he then said, "See you later," kissed me on the cheek, and went to get his car from valet. He then came back in once he found out that his valet was charged to my card and assured me he would pay me for that. I asked him if he has Venmo, and he said he did so. I said I'd send him my username. It's not my real name. And then he left. So, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get reimbursed for any of the hotel or even his valet expense. I've made a fake Instagram account and will message his fiancée soon. Update 2. She was not consenting to this or aware of it. She handled it so gracefully, thanked me, and told me I was a good person. I'm heartbroken for her and pretty fucking pissed at him. She and I actually had a pretty long conversation after she confronted him. Apparently, he told her this was his version of a bachelor party. She kicked him out of the house. I encouraged her to dump his ass, reminding her of her worth. And it seems like she might be moving in that direction, thank God. We actually seem to get along so well that I kinda wish we could be friends, lol. And just for shits and giggles, I decided to get some closure, reclaim my power by sending him a Venmo request for his portion of the valet. The funny thing is that last night at dinner, I had made a joke about him needing to repent, it's a long story, without having any idea he was actually cheating on his fiancée. So my Venmo request said, "Guess I was right about you needing to repent. Paying for the valet would be a step in the right direction, but you've got a fucking long way to go. Have fun in Cancun." He eventually completed the request. I really didn't expect him to, so now I'm kinda wishing I charged him for the hotel room for one night as well. Oh well.